See this? Cool, right? Let's get to it. Edit page, then under effects, drag in the fusion comp. By default, this is 5 seconds. Press Ctrl plus D on the keyboard. I think on Mac that should be Command plus D. I'm going to type 10 and enter. Make it 10 seconds. Or the playhead on it, then open the fusion page. Now let's set this up. Let's bring in a text 3D node. Let's drag that to the left viewer. Let's just type MAD. Let's change the font to Bebas. And let's go to extrusion. Set this to 0.05 and set this to 0.005. Sorry, 5.005. And let's just click on this to show the 3D view of it. So this looks pretty good. Let's shade it. Let's bring in a replace material node. Now I am bringing this in because I want to change the look of this and I want to make it a bit shiny. So I'm going to click on effects up here. I'm going to expand templates, expand fusion, then go to shaders. Under shaders, I'll look for Chrome, bring that in, then drag this here and connect it to replace material. If you drag this to the viewer, you see we have something kind of shiny. Let's close effects tab. So we have this. To do the twist thing, we'll use our famous node, Shift Spacebar, Bender 3D. Add that in. Let's drag that still to the left viewer. So we're under the inspector panel. If it's not open here, just click on this toggle here to open the inspector. And we want to twist it along this axis. That's the x-axis. So I'm just going to pick x-axis. And so if I go here and I drag that, you see we have this. And that doesn't look like exactly like what we want. So what we're going to do is click on Group Objects. Then we have that. So you see we have this twisting this way. So we're just going to set this to 7.5. So it twists that way. Then let's see if we drag this like so. Doesn't look exactly like what we want, but if we drag this like that, this looks more like it. It's supposed to start from no twist to plenty twist. So what we're going to do, we are going to go from 1 to 0. So I right click on this, modify with anim curves. The modifier tab lights up. We click on modifiers. So like I said, it's going from 1 to 0. So that means it starts from 1, which is the offset, 1. Then if you want to now get it to 0 at the end of the timeline, we're going to set this to -1. Set the curve to easing, then sine for easing and sine for ease out. Now for the scale of this, set this to twist. Let's say we set it to 1.1. Then we go to this. If we play it back, you'll see we have something like this. Back to tools. Then we go to this amount because I want a situation where after it twists, then it untwists, so to speak. So I want this to now drop around that amount to this towards the end of the animation. So I'm going to right click on this, modify with anim curves. On the modifier, I'm going to set the start point to 0.75. Then the end point will be -0.75, so it becomes 0. Let's set the ease in to sine and ease out to sine. Let's set this to 1.1 still. And so if we play this back, you see we have something like this. Then it goes back. But the thing about it is I want this twist thing to happen a lot faster. So I'm going to go to the range and make the time scale 1.5. So it twists a whole lot better, like so, before it goes back. And I'm going to go to this. So this here, I'm going to set this to, let's say I set this to 0.2, but I want it to happen just a little later. Okay, so if we go play it back, this twists well, then this completely straightens out. Good. And we're good. But you see, that's not exactly what we want. We want it to rotate. So I'm going to bring in Shift Spacebar, a Transform 3D node. Now the Transform 3D, I wanted to now use it to rotate it along the X-axis. Let's drag that to the viewer. Want to rotate it along the X-axis like so, but it's rotating along the wrong point. So I go to pivot, go to the Y-axis of the pivot, set it to 0.25. And then if we rotate it along the axis, rotating at the right point. I right click on the X-axis, modify with anim curves, go to modifiers, set the scale to 360. Of course, set the ease into sine, then ease out to sine. Then the scale, let's set this to 1.5, and we want it to start just a little bit later. So I'm just going to go here and set this to, let's say, 0.15. Let's see how it looks. Drag it to the viewer, and let's play it back. And we're good. Beautiful. Let's go back to Blender just to see that everything is fine. Let's see. The center, we need to drag it to the left so that it twists at the right point. So it doesn't do any lean back, like so. Yeah, that's it. Now that you see something that happens here, after it's straightened out, it's still on twisting. So I'm going to have to go to Blender, go to modifier. This amount here needs to happen a bit faster. So I'm just going to go here. Let's set it to 0.5, or better still, leave it at 1.2 and set the time offset to 0. Let's see how that looks. Like so. Better. Okay, guys, so that's it. You could just log off here. We're done. But now I'm going to add a little jazz in it all to make it look nice. So we're going to put this, and if we go here and bring a renderer 3D node and connect this to renderer 3D node, let's drag it to the right viewer. You see that the text kind of sits up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on here, go to this Y value here. This is 0.175. Okay, now we have it set up properly. The next thing is we need the second text. So instead of redoing all of this, I just copy the whole of this, copy, and I paste it here. Let's drag that like so. I don't need this Chrome twice. I can just drag this in here and connect this to this. So we use only one Chrome to drive both replace managerial nodes. Let's go to this text. Let's type resolve. And now let's get a rectangle mask to wipe it. So I bring in the rectangle mask. Let's bring it to the left viewer. I want the height to be 1, maybe even more than 1, like 1.1. Then the width to be about the same thing, 1.1. The soft edge to be 0.02. Then I want this to move from this edge here down like this and cover the whole page. So I'm going to right click on center, modify with vector result, click on the modifier tab, then I test it out. So I see I want it to move from this point, so it's going to be like 1.06. So from 1.06 I want it to move down to 0 being here. So I'm just going to right click on distance, modify with anim curves. We go to the curve, set it to easing, and ease in to sine, and ease out to sine. Then the scale, it starts from 1.06. Then I want it to be minus 1.06. I want this to happen for the length of the animation. So I leave this scale like so. If we connect this mask to this renderer and connect the same mask to this renderer, we go to this renderer, go to settings, and say apply mask inverted. And we bring in a merge node. So if you drag this to the left viewer, we have this. Let's go to the middle, somewhere around where this one is wiping off. If I now drag this to the right viewer, you see this one is appearing as this one is wiping off. So if I connect these two to this merge node and bring this to the right viewer, you'll see a beautiful thing happening. So we see that move, and then this appears and wipes that off as it rotates, and then we have mad resolve. But it looks kind of bland, so let's jazz it up a little bit. So let's move this forward, disconnect this, disconnect that for now. Let's bring in shift spacebar, a displace node, and another, bring in a fast noise node. This here, and add it. Now let's drag the fast noise to the right viewer. Go to the fast noise, let's just increase this to maybe something like 7. And let's go to color and increase the alpha of the first color to 1. Go back to noise, go to contrast here, increase it. Then connect this fast noise to the green input of the displace node. Connect this rectangle mask to the yellow input. And now use the output of this to now drive this renderer, and the output here too to drive this renderer. So let's arrange this a bit better. So I pull this up a little bit, and let's bring this like that. And now if we now connect both of them to the merge node and bring that to the right viewer, if I go to this displace node, I've not really done much for displacing the edges. I'm just going to go to refraction strength. Let's increase it like so. Let's put the offset down like so. Let's increase it a bit more so it looks more interesting. Then let's go to this soft edge so it's a bit softer. Let's go to displace, and I want to retain a bit of the soft edge. So let's just set it to 0.5. Bring in a transform node. This is a transform node here. I'm going to bring in a merge node. Then I'm going to use this output of this displace as the input for this transform. Like so. And then also the input for this merge. Then I'm going to connect this to this merge. But I want this transform to be connected to the yellow part. So I'm just going to click on this merge, right click on it, and click swap input. So it's the yellow parts. I click on this transform and I drop this center. If I drag this to this viewer, let's move to somewhere in the middle like so. I'm even thinking this displace, let's do something. Instead of using radial, let's use XY. And let's say we put X refraction like so. Yeah, that looks cool. If X offset at minus 0.5. I go to the merge tool and I go to operator, set this to XOR. So you see we have this line. But I don't want this line to be across the whole stretch of the frame. I want it to be just around the part where the text is. So I'm going to go to, because you know that this is the text here, right? I'm going to bring a bitmap node, shift spacebar, bitmap. Connect the output here to the bitmap node. Let's drag that to the right viewer. So if we go to here, we still have the bitmap node here. So I'm going to connect this bitmap node to the mask input of the merge. you see it just messes things up. But if you go to the merge, we will now go to settings and set this to multiply by mask. So that way, it only shows these lines around the part where this text mad is until the mad text disappears. Bring in Shift space bar, a glow node. Connect this to the glow node. Drag the glow node here. Let's bring this somewhere here. So this is what we're working with. Then this glow size, let's make it. Then we go, after this, we bring a soft glow node. And for the soft, let's drag that to the left viewer. I want it to just be wide glow. So I'm just going to drag the glow size to 100 and leave the rest as it is. Bring in a background node and connect this to the mask input of the background node and drag this background node to the viewer. Change the color to something like a light blue. This, yeah. So I want some level of whiteness to be at the core. So I'm just going to bring in another glow node. I will connect this to that glow node. The blend here to 0.75. Let's drag that to the left viewer. Bring in a background node. Connect this to the background node. Set this color here to white. Bring in Shift space bar. Bring in a raise node. Now for the raise node, I'm just going to drop this to 0.005. The weight, let's just drag this to the viewer to see what we're working with. Then the weight, drop it just too intense, something like so. Let's just say 0.5. A merge node. Put this raise on top. And it's not connected to the top. I need to connect it to the green input, which is the top on the merge node, and this should be at the bottom. If you drag this to the viewer, we have the white and we have the blue hint at it, hint there. Bring in a merge node. Connect this to the foreground of this merge and connect this to the background of this merge. So if we drag this to the viewer, you see we have this here. But this is just for the mad text. We need to do for the other text, which is the resolve text. So what I'm going to do is copy the whole of these. Copy. Then drag down here and paste it here. I click and paste. Like so. So let's move this up so we can get to see the whole node tree, like so. Now let's connect the output of this displace to the input, this transform here, and also to this merge. Now go, let's bring this up here and bring this transform down here. Let's bring this bitmap here and now connect the output here to this bitmap. We bring in another merge node. In front here, connect this to the background and connect the output here to the foreground. Let's go to this renderer 3D. I may have omitted some few things here. If you go to renderer 3D, you need to enable lighting and shadows. Go to hardware renderer, go to renderer 3D, lighting, shadows, hardware renderer. One other thing I need to put is lighting. After doing all that, I'm going to drag this back, drag this transform back. Then for this transform 3D, bring in a merge 3D and click on here and bring in another merge 3D. Here I'm going to bring in a directional light. Let's click on here, Shift spacebar, directional light, add. I omitted to add all this at the beginning and connect this directional light to both. Now for the directional lights, just go to transform and set the angle here to 30, 30 minus 30. Now we're practically done here. The next thing we just need to do is give it a background. So let's just bring a background node here. Let's drag that to the left viewer. Let's just go to gradient and let's swap the inputs here. Let's swap this like so. There, and then go to the gradient type, set that to radial and set the start value here to 0.5. Now for this white value here, then set this to something close to black. So it looks nice like so. Now if I go here and I drag this down so we can see it better, and we zoom in on this, you see it has banding. To avoid this banding, I'm going to bring in a grain node. So shift space bar, grain. Just going to pick this grain and add. Connect this to the grain. Drag this down here. Leave the power at 5. The grain size, leave it at 1. But the grain softness, drag it to 100. Let's drag that to the viewer. So it still kind of shows. So I'm just going to go to the grain size and just increase it a little bit. So let's say 1.5. And then it looks a bit better. And then we can now bring in another merge node, connect this to the background input of the merge, and connect this to the foreground. And now we can connect the whole of this to the media out. Zoom out the node tree so you can see the whole thing. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.